As John Spector promised last week, the Overwatch League website has now officially revealed the contract status of every player in the league that was under contract last season, ahead of free agency opening on October 24th. I'll be leaving a link down below in the description if you want to have a look at it yourself, but today I'll be going through this article to make you all aware of each player's contract situation, before afterwards discussing my key takeaways and general impressions from them. First though, I should probably just quickly explain how the Overwatch League has designated the contract categories, and I'll again particularly note that free agents may still re-sign with their former team, but are now able to discuss offers with all teams. So, the contract categories you will see are under contract, meaning that the player is already signed with their current team for the 2021 season, 2021 option exercised, meaning that the team has exercised their option to extend the player's contract for the 2021 season, and then there's the free agent categories. For those that had their team option declined for 2021, those whose existing contract is expiring, and lastly, those who have mutually agreed release from their existing contract. Hopefully that all makes sense, but if not, be sure to leave a comment below and I'll explain it further as best I can. I should also point out some of the news we've also received regarding league salaries and pay. During the 2020 season, players earned an average base salary of $106,000, up nearly 10k per player from the 2019 season. The median player salary was $92,000, up more than again $10,000 from 2019. The league minimum player salary remains 50k plus benefits. Players also collectively received a minimum of 50% of the total prize pool awarded to their teams during the season. Let's now look at the player contracts themselves, and I'll be going through this team by team in alphabetical order. Rather than talk about each player individually though, as I worry this would make the video incredibly long, instead, once I've gone through each team, I'm going to point out my key takeaways from this list. I've decided to do it this way, as without official announcements from the teams themselves, we can't be 100% certain that, for instance, some currently re-signed players aren't being traded away later, or that others are only becoming free agents in order for their current teams to renegotiate their contracts. Staff members throughout the league have suggested this also. If you do want to hear my more detailed thoughts on every single player contract, however, let me know and I'll see what I can do moving forward. For now anyways, let's tackle this player contract list, starting with the Atlanta Reign. At the damage position, Edison has had a 2021 option exercise, Erster is becoming a free agent alongside Saucy, and Sharp is under existing contract. The tank line has FRD becoming a free agent, whilst Gator and Hawk have their 2021 options exercised, and Pokepo is a free agent. At support, Fire and Dogman both become free agents, whilst Iris and Massa have their 2021 options exercised. Moving on to the Boston Uprising, at damage, Colorhex is waiting for the team to exercise his option, and Jerry has had his 2021 option exercised. At tank, both Fusions and Punk have also had their 2021 options exercised, whilst Mickey is a free agent. And at support, Halo is also a free agent, whilst Myeonbong is under existing contract. Next to the Chengdu Hunters, where at damage Bacon Jack is retired, Jinmu is still waiting for the team to exercise his option, and Leave has had his 2021 option exercised. At tank, Aiming, Elsa and Late Young are all waiting to see if the team exercises their options, whilst Aiting is retired. Lastly at support, Keone and Veiltor are in the same spot, waiting for the team to see if they exercise their option, whilst Linkster is a free agent and Molly has had a 2021 option exercised. As for the Dallas Fuel, we already know most of this, but Doha has had his 2021 option exercised, whilst everyone else has become a free agent. On the Florida Mayhem, BQB has surprisingly become a free agent, alongside Sire player, whilst Yaki is under existing contract. As for their tank line, Fate is waiting to see if the team exercises his option, whilst Gargoyle and Karayan have both become free agents. As for support, Byram and Chris have become free agents, whilst Gangnam Jin is under contract. The Guangzhou Charge has Eileen under existing contract, whilst the rest of their DPS line of Happy, Crystal and Nero all become free agents. The tank line has Krong have his 2021 option exercised, whilst Rio has to wait to see if the team exercises his option. And lastly with the support line, all four players, Chara, Neptuno, Shu and Wire are free agents. On the Spark, Addo and Adora both become free agents, as we already knew, whilst Architect and Godspeed are under existing contract. The same can be said for Gushui, whilst QOQ has had his 2021 option exercised. Ria meanwhile is a free agent, and Sassin we now know is also a free agent. This can also be said for the support player Bebe, whilst Coldus and Mika had their 2021 options exercised, and IDK is under existing contract. We've already heard about many of the players on the Houston Outlaws already, but from those we haven't yet heard, Hydration is under existing contract, whilst Boink and Repel are now free agents. Again, the London Spitfire is another team we already knew a lot about, but Glister is under existing contract, alongside Bernard, Fuse and Sanguinar. Moving on to the LA Gladiators, Birdring has had his 2021 option exercised alongside Kevster and Mirror, whilst Jaru has become a free agent, with his 2021 option being declined. We already knew about Bishu, LH Cloudy and OGE, whereas Space has had his 2021 option exercised. Now we move on to the LA Valiant, who are outside of the players we already knew about. KSF is waiting to see if the team exercises his option, whilst KSP has had his 2021 option exercised alongside Shax. Dreamer is another one who's had his 2021 option exercised, as well as the support pairing of Lastra and Rain. Coming up to New York, we know that Hax was retired, whilst Libra and Sabiobi are waiting to see if the team exercise their options. Nene and Huayu we now know are free agents. Bianca and Hopper are also free agents, with Mano waiting to see if the team exercises his option. The same can also be said for Animo and Jonak, who are also waiting to see if the team exercise their option, whilst Mandu is the only player under contract. On the Paris Eternal, while Sparkle and Exi have had their 2021 options be exercised, Nico and Soon are waiting to see whether their own options are exercised. The same can also be said for Bembest, whereas Hanbin has had his 2021 option exercised. No Smite and Smex on the other hand are both free agents. FD God is under contract, but Fielder has become a free agent. On the Philly Fusion, Carpe obviously is under contract, but Chipsa, EQO, and Ivy are all becoming free agents. Hisu meanwhile has had his 2021 option exercised. Fury is another surprising free agent, whilst Poco and Sado both wait to see if the team exercises option. And at support, Alarm is under existing contract, Funny Astro has had his 2021 option exercised, and we already know about Boombox becoming a free agent. The San Francisco Shock are another team that surprises us, with Rascal becoming a free agent, whereas the rest of the DPS line of Uns, Striker and Tayo all had their 2021 options exercised. Troy Hyobin and Smurf are both under existing contracts, but Super of all people is a free agent with his contract expiring. The same can also be said for Moth and Violet with their contracts expiring as they become free agents, but Twilight's had his 2021 option exercised. As we come to Soul, Prophet and Gesture have both had their 2021 option exercised, and Creative is under existing contract. Slime, Tuyu, Bedosan and Toby though are all free agents, with Marvel, Michelle, Fitz and Illicit all waiting to see if the team exercise their option later on. On the Shanghai Dragons, Ding and DM are both found free agents alongside Dia, whereas Fletter and Lip are under existing contract. At Tank, Fearless has had his 2021 option exercised, Stan 1 and Void are both under existing contract, and Giguri becomes a free agent. And at the support line, Izzyaki has had his 2021 option exercised, DJ Gon is under existing contract, and Luffy becomes a free agent. The Toronto Defiant are one of the more shocking ones, with every single one of their players becoming a free agent, and I'll talk about that more a little later on. The Vancouver Titans, as we already know, have seen Dalton, Rolf and Shredlock all have their 2021 options exercised, whilst KSAA, Karkar, Suna and Shockwave all become free agents. Lastly there's the Washington Justice, where Decay becomes a free agent alongside Stitch, Janu, AimGod and Ark, whilst weirdly Raw and Tuba are under existing contract. So hopefully, unless I've missed anyone, that's everyone's contract situation, and I hope you're all still with me at this point. One of my first key takeaways from this list is just the sheer number of players who are becoming free agents. I think someone's done the maths and it comes to over half of the current players, and that's also bearing in mind that more players will likely be released later by that November 13th deadline that I've been talking about. It puts into perspective how chaotic this off-season is probably going to be, and shows that after the first 3 seasons of the Overwatch League, a lot of organisations have given themselves a lot of flexibility, both financially and in terms of space to sign new players heading into 2021, which has the potential to really shake up the strength of these teams significantly next year and moving forward. In terms of the free agents though, assuming they are eventually re-signed, there are some massive names on that list that I just went through. To point out the big ones from my perspective, from the shock of all teams, there's Moth, Violet, Super and Rascal, all players who would easily walk into firm starting spots across most of the league, and I imagine will be the recipients of very heavy team interest, if they actually aren't re-signed. Obviously after his end of season playoff boost to Washington, Decay will likely see a similar market bidding spree to when he first got picked up, with his superstar DPS quality likely being appealing to a number of teams across the league. Players like Fury, Nero, Shu or Gargoyle might have slipped under your radar whilst hearing this contract status list, but all three again have shown they are top talents at their respective positions, and I imagine will be in high demand themselves. Don't sleep on others like Ivy, BQB or Fielder either, who I all thought had breakout seasons this year and would be excellent additions on a number of rosters also. Then there's the Toronto Defiant, who to be blunt have just blown it all up. Every single one of their players is now a free agent, and that's not even a typo. Before we get ahead of ourselves though, I don't think that none of them will re-sign, although I can't rule it out, but it clearly shows that the Toronto organisation have identified a need to restructure moving forward. 2019 and now 2020 have been strange years for the Defiant, with early promise quickly deteriorating into a consolidated position at the lower middle of the pack in North America, with little evidence of development or improvement. Whilst I have to commend the team for how they've marketed their players, with many becoming fan favourites, that has resulted in Toronto having one of the more vocal and supportive fan bases in the league, it has felt like they have lacked that real ambition to seriously win. And this roster reset could be a really good decision for them to have taken as they look to turn things around in 2021. And returning to that November 13th deadline, I'm fascinated to see how teams like New York and Chengdu choose to go forward, as well as seeing whether a lot of Season 1 veterans have their own contracts re-signed or declined. Overall though, things are certainly spiced up ahead of free agency beginning on Saturday, and I'm incredibly excited to see where things go from here, with the off-season chaos continuing to accelerate. For now though, that's all I'm going to say on this player contract update, and my next update on the Overwatch League off-season will probably start to show where some of these players are actually going. If you have enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe, or follow me on Twitter or Discord. Until next time though, I want to say a big thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.